On a cold winter night in Massachusetts, veteran police officer John O'Keefe was found lifeless in the snow. Now, his girlfriend, Karen Reed, stands trial in a case filled with allegations, secrets, and a community divided. This is the chilling story of Karen Reed, the trial and death of John O'Keefe, where every detail matters, and not everything is as it seems. Tonight's clue: what crucial detail was allegedly missed in the early investigation? Stay sharp. The answer lies ahead. John O'Keefe, a veteran Boston police officer, was discovered outside a home in Canton, Massachusetts, in January of 2022. His girlfriend, Karen Reed, soon faced charges, accused of a crime that would divide a community and spark national debate over what truly happened that fateful night. On the morning of January 29th, 2022, a chilling discovery was made. John O'Keefe's body was found in the front yard of a fellow officer's home, his form partially buried beneath a layer of fresh snow, motionless and cold to the touch. According to reports, Karen Reed, his girlfriend, was the one who placed the frantic call to emergency services. She claimed she had been searching for John after a night of drinking, only to find him outside, unresponsive, near his vehicle. Paramedics arrived swiftly, but it was too late. John O'Keefe was pronounced dead shortly after being transported to the hospital. Authorities immediately launched an investigation. But what began as a tragic loss soon spiraled into a complex web of accusations. Karen Reed was arrested, accused of striking O'Keefe with her SUV while allegedly intoxicated and leaving him to succumb to the freezing conditions. Yet, from the very beginning, questions arose. Why were there inconsistencies in witness statements? Was Karen Reed solely responsible? Or was there more lurking beneath the surface of this suburban tragedy? As investigators combed through evidence, the community of Canton braced itself for revelations that would shake its faith in both justice and those sworn to uphold it. John O'Keefe was more than just a badge. A 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department, John was known for his dedication, quiet strength, and commitment to his family. After the tragic passing of his sister and her husband, John stepped up without hesitation, becoming the guardian of his young niece and nephew. Colleagues described him as dependable, a man who could be counted on both in uniform and in life. Friends recalled his calm demeanor, his sense of duty, and a protective nature that extended far beyond his role as an officer. According to those close to him, John had been in a relationship with Karen Reed for several years. Their relationship, while affectionate in public, was allegedly marked by tensions behind closed doors, fueled by reports of disagreements and the pressures of John's demanding career. On the night of his death, John had been out socializing with friends and fellow officers. The gathering was meant to be casual, but it would end in tragedy. His loss sent shockwaves through the Boston police community and left two children without the man who had become their pillar of stability. John O'Keefe's story is one of service, sacrifice, and a life cut short under circumstances that continue to spark debate and suspicion. Karen Reed, a finance professor and respected member of her community, was not the person many expected to see in handcuffs. Described by friends as intelligent and fiercely independent, Karen had built a successful career in academia. However, beneath her professional achievements, prosecutors alleged a darker narrative, one involving jealousy, alcohol, and a fatal lapse in judgment. According to reports, Karen and John's relationship had its share of turmoil. Witnesses claimed there were arguments, some heated enough to raise concerns among friends. On the night in question, Karen allegedly drove John to a gathering at a fellow officer's residence. Prosecutors argued that after a dispute, she struck him with her vehicle while making a reckless U-turn, leaving him injured in the freezing cold. Karen, however, maintained her innocence from the start. Her defense pointed to gaps in the timeline, lack of definitive forensic evidence linking her SUV to John's injuries, and suggested that others at the party that night may have known more than they admitted. Supporters of Karen Reed argued that she was being framed, a scapegoat in a case involving powerful connections within law enforcement circles. As the investigation unfolded, Karen found herself at the center of a legal battle that blurred the lines between personal tragedy and potential corruption. Was Karen Reed a cold-hearted perpetrator, or a woman caught in a web of deception far beyond her control? The night of January 28, 2022, began like many others in the tight-knit community of Canton, Massachusetts. But it would end with unanswered questions and a man dead in the snow. John O'Keefe and Karen Reed had reportedly been drinking together before John was driven to a gathering at a fellow officer's home. According to reports, Karen dropped him off shortly after midnight, but what happened next remains clouded in controversy. Prosecutors claimed that after an argument, possibly fueled by alcohol and simmering tensions, Karen attempted to leave in frustration. In doing so, she allegedly struck John with the rear of her SUV, a collision that would leave him unconscious in the bitter cold. Hours later, John's body was discovered, his head bearing a deep laceration, his arms marked with abrasions, and signs of hypothermia setting in long before help arrived. The snow had partially concealed him, masking critical evidence beneath a white shroud. The prosecution's narrative was chillingly simple. Karen Reed, intoxicated and angry, backed into John without realizing, or perhaps without caring, and drove away. But the defense painted a far different picture. They argued that Karen's taillight, found shattered near the scene, had been planted, that John's injuries were inconsistent with being struck by a vehicle, and that he may have been assaulted elsewhere before being left outside. Forensic experts debated the angle of impact, the timing of his death, and whether the pattern of injuries matched vehicular trauma or something more sinister. Adding to the confusion were conflicting witness statements. Some partygoers claimed they never saw John enter the house. Others recalled vague memories clouded by alcohol and late hours, leaving investigators to piece together a puzzle with missing fragments. Karen's defense also pointed to phone records and surveillance footage, or lack thereof, that raised further doubts about the official timeline. And then there was the allegation that law enforcement protected its own. Whispers that those inside the house that night knew more than they revealed, that perhaps John never made it inside at all. As snow continued to fall over Canton, one fact remained undisputed. John O'Keefe died alone in the cold. But how he ended up there, and who was truly responsible, became a question that would haunt both the courtroom and the court of public opinion. The case was no longer just about a tragic accident. It became a story of potential cover-ups, broken trust, and a community left wondering if justice would ever thaw beneath layers of secrecy and snow. From the outset, law enforcement framed the case as an open and shut incident. a tragic but straightforward vehicular manslaughter. Investigators quickly honed in on Karen Reed. Surveillance of her SUV revealed a broken taillight and traces of what was allegedly human tissue. Cell phone data, search histories, and text messages were scrutinized. One chilling message surfaced, Karen allegedly asking, "Could I have hit him?" Yet despite these claims, the investigation faced immediate obstacles. Witness statements shifted, timelines blurred, and accusations arose that police were too eager to close the case without exploring other possibilities. Critics argued that the involvement of fellow officers, friends of John O'Keefe, created a conflict of interest, leading to overlooked evidence and a rush to judgment. As public pressure mounted, what should have been a clear path to justice became mired in suspicion, and allegations of a cover-up began to overshadow the original investigation. The forensic evidence, expected to provide clarity, only deepened the mystery. While prosecutors pointed to the broken taillight and alleged DNA traces on Karen's vehicle, defense experts countered with claims that the injuries on John's body were inconsistent with being struck by a car. Autopsy reports indicated blunt force trauma, but did not definitively confirm vehicular impact. Questions arose about whether John had been injured elsewhere and placed outside afterward. Snowfall that night complicated evidence collection, erasing potential footprints, tire tracks, and other critical clues. Moreover, missing surveillance footage from nearby homes fueled theories that evidence had been tampered with or deliberately withheld. In modern re-examinations, independent forensic analysts highlighted gaps in the chain of custody and inconsistencies in how evidence was processed. What should have been concrete proof became a battleground of expert opinions, leaving jurors and the public struggling to separate fact from speculation. The town of Canton was gripped by fear, confusion, and growing distrust. At first, many saw Karen Reed as guilty, a tragic case of reckless behavior leading to a beloved officer's death. But as rumors of police misconduct and possible cover-up spread, public opinion began to fracture. Supporters of Karen rallied, claiming she was being framed, while others stood firmly by law enforcement's version of events. Neighborhood conversations turned tense, friendships strained, and a once quiet community found itself at the center of a storm where truth seemed as elusive as the winter sun behind heavy clouds. The media descended quickly, turning the case into a national spectacle. Headlines highlighted the dramatic elements: a police officer dead, his girlfriend accused, and whispers of corruption within the ranks. Cable news segments speculated endlessly, often blurring facts with sensational theories. Social media fueled the fire, with hashtags, amateur sleuths, and viral debates casting doubt on every piece of evidence. The intense coverage placed pressure on prosecutors, defense attorneys, and witnesses alike, transforming a local tragedy into a legal drama watched by millions. In the court of public opinion, guilt and innocence shifted with every broadcast. As the case unfolded, theories multiplied, each more unsettling than the last. While prosecutors held firm to the belief that Karen Reed acted alone, others pointed fingers at those inside the house where John O'Keefe was headed that night. Some alleged that a confrontation occurred within those walls, that John may have been assaulted before being dragged outside. Supporters of this theory questioned why certain phone records were missing, why surveillance footage conveniently failed, and why key witnesses appeared evasive. Whispers of a blue wall of silence, a code among officers, circulated widely. Was Karen Reed a scapegoat, shielding deeper secrets within the law enforcement community? Or was the simplest explanation the truth, that a tragic accident spiraled into conspiracy theories born from grief and mistrust? The line between fact and speculation grew thinner, leaving everyone grasping for answers in a fog of uncertainty. Karen Reed's trial became a media spectacle. Every testimony dissected, every piece of evidence fueling public debate. The prosecution presented its case, focusing on forensic evidence, alleged statements by Karen, and the narrative of a tragic but criminal act. The defense countered with claims of investigative misconduct, missing evidence, and alternative theories pointing toward a cover-up within law enforcement circles. After weeks in court, the jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision, leading to a mistrial in 2024. But the story did not end there. A retrial began on April 1st, 2025, reigniting national attention and reopening wounds within the community of Canton. As proceedings continue, Karen Reed maintains her innocence, while prosecutors push forward in their pursuit of justice. For now, the verdict remains unwritten, and the search for truth carries on in a courtroom where every word could change everything. As the dust settled, the most haunting questions remained unanswered. How did John O'Keefe truly end up in the snow that night? Was Karen Reed solely responsible, or was there a deeper conspiracy buried beneath layers of silence and loyalty? The missing evidence, the conflicting testimonies, the whispers of corruption, all continue to cast a long shadow over this case. For the O'Keefe family, for Karen Reed, and for the town of Canton, closure feels like a distant hope, and the truth, whatever it may be, remains frozen in uncertainty. The case left scars far beyond the courtroom. In Canton, trust in law enforcement fractured, neighbors viewed each other with suspicion, and debates over justice became part of daily life. Nationally, the story sparked conversations about police accountability, the influence of power, and how easily narratives can be shaped by those in control. The legacy of John O'Keefe's death is not just a tragic loss, but a reflection of a system where truth can be obscured and justice delayed. A chilling reminder that sometimes the answers never come. What are your thoughts on the case of Karen Reed and John O'Keefe? Could a different turn of events have changed everything? Let us know in the comments below. Did you catch tonight's clue? What crucial detail was allegedly missed in the early investigation? Drop your answer and subscribe for more mysteries that demand answers. As always, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.